Hi, this is Kevin Lawrence coming to you from University of North Carolina School of the Arts. I'd like to talk to you about practicing. How do we spend our practice time? What's it about? I remember as a kid hearing that 4 hours a day was about the right amount of time a person should practice. And I was a beginner violin student, and I wondered what on earth anybody could do for 4 hours a day. It just didn't seem like it was possible. But of course, over time, I learned how we can build our playing and how we can be ready to play beautifully and securely, reliably. And I learned how much time that actually does take consistently over years. Wherever you may be in this journey of mastery of the instrument and the practicing that produces that mastery, I'd like to talk to you about, first of all, the different kinds of practice time there are. So one of my teachers, very eminent master pedagogue, Ivan Galamian, he talked about 3 kinds of practice time. He called them building time, interpreting time, and performing time. So the building time is what most people think of as practicing. Well, you do your scales and you practice the hard passages many times and you make sure that things are in tune and that sort of thing. And then the interpreting time is developing a musical concept of what you want to play. What colors do you want? How much time do you want to take? What is the shape of these phrases that you're creating? This kind of time requires actually some violinistic work. It's not just that you would be inspired at the moment of performance to do beautiful things. If you haven't figured out how to make this beauty happen, just dealing with the physical realities of your instrument, you're not going to get the beauty you're dreaming of. And the last kind of practice time, performing time, that's simply playing through from beginning to end. If you're playing a piece with accompaniment, it's ideal that you have the pianist or orchestra there. But that is a critical part of practice time too. And these 3 kinds of practicing have to be balanced. Generally, people are inclined to one kind or the other. If you're a careful, fastidious guy, you'll do a lot of building time. And then you'll say to yourself, I got to try playing through this movement. And something will go wrong, and you'll stop and work it. And so you won't really get what you need to get out of the performance time. Then when the moment of performance comes, it'll be very difficult for you to deal with an unfamiliar experience of playing from beginning to end, this piece that you're prepared. So that gives us something to think about. Feature of building time is that you do not let things that aren't right go uncorrected. Opposite idea when you're performing, you do not stop. You try to remember. That's a really great skill to have, to be able to keep going, but remember what you didn't like and then come back to it after. The interpreting time, obviously, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of silence. If somebody's listening in on someone doing interpreting time, they might not hear much for a while because you're imagining how you want a phrase to sound. Or you might simply sing. We're not, most of us, singers that anybody would want to pay a lot of money to hear, but for us to sing helps us develop the musical concept that we can then more easily apply when we play. So it's great for you to think about what kind of practicer you tend to be. Are you always fixing things? Are you always concertizing in the practice room? And you never take care of problems that just keep recurring week after week. Do you have enough idea of a musical concept that you're really communicating? So if you're balanced with these 3 kinds of practice time, you'll have the ability to prepare in a way that makes performances that are what you're after. Now, Let's think about most people's early sense of practicing. We think of building time mostly, I think, when we're young, and we think of training the body. I'd like to consider how we train a dog. Those of you who have had dogs at home who have tried to teach them their little tricks. Suppose you want to teach a dog to sit. I had a dog as a kid, and it was a project, but it worked. I mean, you would have a treat ready, and you would say the word sit, and you would sort of shove the dog down to the sitting position, and then you'd give the dog the treat. And you'd do that about 10,000 times, and finally the dog would really get to associate the word sit with the treat. And sometimes it would sit without the treat. But that was a long and cumbersome process. Many of us do our building time the way we imagine we would train this kind of a dog. We're training our body as if it just simply had to repeat a set of motions and just a hideous number of times, so that it would be absolutely foolproof in the moment of performance. There would be nothing that could stop you from nailing this sequence of moves. So what's wrong with that? Isn't it going to be secure? Well, here's what happens. If you practice that way, your building time, you're encouraging yourself to a kind of robotic playing. It's kind of mechanical. You're like a little violin machine. Put the quarter in and he plays. See? And that's really not why people want to hear a concert, to hear somebody sort of jump through hoops that they've mastered. I mean, if you want athleticism, go watch, gymnastics, which actually has a little bit of artistic value, more than the kind of playing we're looking at when somebody has just trained their body this way. So even our building time has to have an element of understanding and of thought. Why are we different from dogs? Well, many reasons, of course, but one reason is that we have, it is supposed, the ability to analyze, to think, to use words and concepts, so that if we want to work a passage out, work a technical problem out, we can actually think about various ideas that can make us succeed in playing the passage easily and beautifully, rather than simply seeing our body as the subject of training or even the enemy. The body, it betrays me, so I better really get after it so it won't mess things up for me. We can see our body as connected with our ideals of playing beautifully. So one last thought about this mind and body connection. If we have spent our practice time developing the connection of our mind, any impulse we have can easily be realized by our body. Then we have the possibility of spontaneity when we perform. We could even, change a fingering or bowing. We can take more time than we've ever taken, because rather than simply following the robotic patterns we've, ground into our body, we're creating something inside with our music making that's immediate and fresh and new. So I hope that this beautiful goal of practicing as connecting the mind and the body in its various forms, building, interpreting, and performing time, can help you not just practice well, but ultimately, of course, the goal here, to perform with the immediacy and personal commitment and connection that everybody wants to experience in a concert. So, I wish you lots of this good practicing and beautiful music making.